Hey guys, it's Dylan Laine, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 beginner piano mistakes. Before we get started, if you would like to download a free sample of my beginner piano lessons ebook, I'll have that linked in the description box down below. I also have a free beginner piano lessons course, and I'll have a link to that playlist in the description box down below. So today we're looking at 5 beginner piano mistakes. Mistake number 1, and one of the most common mistakes, is using one finger and moving it all around the piano rather than using 5 fingers or 10 fingers and having them in their proper position. Now this is a mistake you want to fix as soon as possible, because if not, it can become a habit to use one finger or maybe 1 or 2 fingers on each hand and just move it around wherever it's supposed to go. So I want you to learn now, as soon as possible, how to use correct hand position and where to put your fingers in place from the very beginning, so that way you can get in the habit of keeping your fingers in place. If you're not sure which fingers to use on which notes, most pieces of music will have finger numbers above the notes, so if you see a finger 3 above a note, then that means to use your finger 3, which would be your middle finger, and you want to make sure that that 3rd finger is on that note, and then you can allow every other finger to fall in place around it. When playing a chord, if the notes in that chord are multiple notes apart, so for example C, E, and G for a C major, then you wouldn't want to use 3 fingers in a row on your hand to spread apart. Instead, you'd want to use your thumb, middle finger, and your pinky, and that way your hand fits comfortably on the keys. If you've been using 1 finger or 2 fingers on the piano for a while now, don't worry, you can still break the habit, but I would encourage you to start now. Mistake number 2 is allowing your wrists and your elbows to relax way more than what's necessary. So let's say that this is your piano, and you're placing your hand on the piano. Your wrist should stay parallel with your hand and your arm. And sometimes what happens when students get a little bit uncomfortable or impatient, they start to allow their wrist and their elbow to come down like this. And oftentimes they'll end up resting their wrist on the actual piano, and they still might be able to get the notes out, but this is really bad for your wrist and your arm. And instead you want to do proper hand position. So you want to have your wrist parallel with your hand and your arm. If you feel like you absolutely need to give your wrist a break, then in that case I would take your hands off the piano and place your hands in your lap until you're ready to play again. Mistake number 3 is playing way too fast. I have done this many times in my life, and believe me, I know that it's very fun to take a song that you know, or even kind of know, mildly know, and to play it as fast as possible because it feels good. And sometimes it's just a little more exciting than playing the same thing over and over again at a slow and steady pace. But here's why I would advise you not to do that. Every time you practice, you're essentially teaching yourself how it should sound and how your fingers should feel. So if you practice something fast enough times, it can be difficult to then relearn how to play it at a steady pace. Not only that, but if you play it fast and you make a lot of mistakes, or even just a few mistakes, and then you keep playing it fast and you keep making similar mistakes, you're going to start to learn those mistakes. And that might not seem like a big deal, but the problem is that whenever it comes time to actually learn to play the piece exactly how it should sound, then you're going to have to not only learn the piece as it should sound, but you're also going to have to unlearn what you've learned through practicing fast and learning those mistakes. So in the long run, it's ultimately better to practice at a slow and steady pace until it starts to sound really solid and comfortable, and then you can gradually increase the speed and follow the same method. Gradually increase the speed, practice it at that pace until it sounds solid and comfortable, then gradually increase the speed again. The 4th mistake is not taking time to practice what I call your treble spots. Treble spot refers to a section in the song that you consistently play inaccurately. It could be that it's the hardest part of the song, or it could just be a random spot that just isn't going well. Wherever it may be, you want to take time to focus just on your treble spot rather than playing through it and continuing to play the rest of the song, then starting over from the beginning, playing through the beginning all the way through your treble spot, and then at the end. You see what I'm saying? This doesn't teach you how to fix that treble spot. So what you want to do instead is when you get to a treble spot and you say to yourself, oh man, I feel like I can never get this part. Whatever that spot is, set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes and just practice that spot. Oftentimes you might find that it's a single measure in the song, or 10 seconds of the song, whether it's a small section or a large section, don't leave the section until it starts to feel comfortable. The fifth and final mistake that I'll be talking about today is being too relaxed with your rhythms. Let's say you're playing a chord or a note and you're supposed to hold it for 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of times what happens is people will become uncomfortable, impatient, and bored, and they just want to go on to the next note. Or maybe that chord or note is the end of the song and they just want to end the song. I would encourage you not to do that and instead to stay accurate and consistent with your rhythms. If you'd like me to talk about more piano mistakes, let me know in the comments down below, or if you have a request for another topic, write those in the comments down below as well. Again, if you would like to download a free sample of my beginner piano lessons ebook, I'll have that linked in the description box down below. Until next time, remember to play, write, and spread the light.